And hi, everybody. I am excited to continue we'll just say, the experiment with Clubhouse and the ongoing sharing with StreamYard to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Dr. Laura's been an amazing guest and now partner to support. She ran the room last time because I was in Nashville, and it was a phenomenal opportunity. I loved Nashville. It was a lot of fun. I brought back something, tested positive, so I brought back something that we don't always want to bring back when we go places, and but I'm on the tail end, and so I had a couple of days with extreme fatigue, and now I'm heading back, and the general theme when you're inclined is we are in Clubhouse, and so that's where the audio comes from, and I'm using StreamYard to reach the other locations. And the general thought, so if you're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and you ask questions, we'll bring them and answer them in Clubhouse. If you want to actually speak, just raise your hand if you're on Clubhouse, and we'll bring you into the leader spot. And it's about I say it's leaders living their values. It's sort of leaders living their why. It's you being you. And if the research that I did proves to be accurate, there's a lot of help and a lot of support we can give to a number of people, because 98% of those people I interviewed 500 thought leaders on Credibility, 98% could not articulate their why, at least their why in 10 words or less. And so let's talk about it and figure out why people can't why. Oh, that's a good one. What do you think, Laura? Are you doing okay?
Yeah, why people can't why. Oh, that's such a good one, and it's so true. I'm at hello everybody on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. I believe, is it on Instagram as well?
YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook,
and Clubhouse.
Oh, and Clubhouse, of course. Yeah. And Marty, if you wanna actually raise your hand if you'd like to be invited to speaker spot, and I'm going to invite some other folks as well. But Laura, you were here last week on your own. How'd it go?
Oh, I think it went really well. It wasn't the same, and we weren't on StreamYard, but it went pretty well. It was just challenging because wanting to do the room right by you. They got the replays on, so anybody wants to check that out, go back to my go to Credibility Nation, join the club, and go to my profile otherwise, and scroll down to the bottom, especially on Credibility Nation, because that's where you want to get it, because that's where you can join the club, and while you're there you can invite other people to become members too. So yeah, check it out. I think in terms of credibility, Mitchell, I think you've got it down pat regarding trying to emulate you. Is that you have this, beg your pardon, this style, this way of being, and on StreamYard, and also the fabulous multitasking that you're able to do. And I don't know how you do it. I just watch the show going on, and I'm enjoying it, and then I'm tasked to do it, and I haven't done it before. I mean, with you, and following in your wake, and it was different only to the extent that it wasn't the same without you.
Aww.
Because since we've been doing this, since you've allowed me to be part of this, is that there's a consistency, and there's definitely a method to your not madness, for lack of a better word.
Oh, madness is not a bad word. This is really a cool statement, because a lot of things in life is making sure we have a common language, right? And if we're doing method to your madness and we do it out of love, then it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Sure. Are you familiar with Brene Brown and her recent book that just came out called Atlas of the Heart?
No, I haven't read that. Yeah, cool.
So good. And she breaks down 87 different words, emotions, and specifically defines them. because there's a disconnect between how we're using these words, emotions, and when we're using them in ways that doesn't identify what they really reflect and labeling. It's such a fabulous read if you get a chance to do it. I'm playing it overnight in Clubhouse for audio for folks to listen to and really just dive into it. So fabulous.
So, by the way, that's an interesting approach. So, you told me about that the other day, and share what you're doing there, because I find that really fascinating.
Well, there's such a looking at the statistics and the analytics for when people are on Clubhouse to actually, hey Adrian, to run a room, because there's so many people and there's so many rooms, the number of people that you can actually tap into and have a conversation with many people about the topic, instead of doing a one-on-one interview or a panel, for example, to have them really absorb the content that is difficult to schedule during the day. And or even in the early morning, because it's so saturated with some not that we're not fabulous as well, just to have the eyes on it. So normally about a certain time at night, the rooms start to slow down, and the folks who follow me for whatever reason, they're up, and the kids go to bed or whatever, and they're able to tap into the audio that I play for a few hours overnight, and then they usually come back with me, and the next morning I'll come in and I'll look at the chat that's up there, and thank you for running this. This is on my bucket list to read, and the gems that they've gotten out of it. So
super cool.
It's so nice. And be surprised how many people come in over the length of hours that you wouldn't notice.
Super cool. Well, I see Lucas Roots in the house. Hello, Lucas. I see him.
Hi.
There you are. Was that like you trying to hit the button on unmute? You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've all done that. How are you?
Yeah. I'm good. It's a beautiful sunny day here in San Diego. I slept like a log last night, which is nice.
Nice.
If logs sleep.
That's another interesting expression, isn't it?
Yeah. I joined late, but Dr. Laura, it sounds kind of like what you're saying is that your Clubhouse presentations, however those end up playing out, it sounds like they're being treated almost like podcasts by your followers.
Well, it's such an interesting thing that you had to say that, because I just got a notification from Clubhouse that I ran a room overnight, and it had like 50. I just reached, and I'm not marketing it or anything. So it reached 50 views from the other week. So people are tapping in. So I mean, you might not have many people in your live show. However, the replays, they're going there because they like the content. And so I'm saying, for those of you who are running your own rooms and have your own club, the consistency of the credibility that you're going to talk about the same topics and concepts, and that the people will follow. I think it's a beautiful thing that Clubhouse has instituted.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The Clubhouse podcast.
Clubhouse. Well, it's sort of like it's kind of like this the book on tape content type of thing in terms of what you're doing. Anyhow, it's Laura, it's pretty powerful. Thanks for stepping in. I was in Nashville, and it was one of those trips you can't say no to. And I met such amazing people. And I love this Zoom stuff, when unlike other people, I don't get zoomed out. I don't get Zoom fatigue. I typically do between 40 to 60 meetings a week. And Lucas, you asked me yesterday, while I had COVID and I was still extreme fatigue, why I kept the 12 meetings on Wednesday, 16, why I kept those meetings. And I don't think I gave you a good answer, so I want to share it now. I get such amazing energy talking to other humans that if I didn't have people in front of me, my body was so tired I would just crash. Now, maybe I should have, right? I'm sure my mom would have said, well, you should have just went to bed. But I felt really good. And when I say other people in front of me, I don't mean just talking chit chat. We have deep conversations. I mean, when I have conversation with people, and it's not too dissimilar to this. And so what I'll share with you the thing, the overall thing. This was I was in the MG 100, the Marshall Goldsmith's 100 coaches, and they had some of the coaches getting together in Nashville, and we had a day and a half of Marshall sharing his gems, and a couple extra days of just Nashville brilliance. And I think the thing that's most valuable, the thing that takes away most, is his current legacy and what people feel that they're doing. And then there's also another group I'm part of, the Friends of Peter, the FOP. They're all friends of Peter Stropel. And I made an interesting observation, and I'd like each one of us to think about this ourselves. The observation I made particularly, and I made it this morning because the word of the day, by the way, the word of the day at FOP, what we do, by the way, you want a good idea for a networking event? Just go around the room and have people talk about what a particular word means to them. And the word of today was why. And in the sense of knowing your why. And all of a sudden I get into this meeting, and I think about it. And the cool part is the people who were in the room were people who were, on the most part, they were all living their why. And then I see that in the MG 100, and the people who are the executive coaches, some of the top coaches in the world, the people who are in the room, they're living their why. And so, and for me, I could say, yes, I'm living my why. I did not know my why or my real why. I had a why until August of 2020. And post August of 2020, my why became really helping other people articulate their why and their what, so that they could feel like they're living on this earth in a way that they're adding value. And it's overarching that definition of credibility, and living in their body, living in their soul, living out loud credibly, and doing it in such a way where it's just very easy for people to see them, basically giving people an opportunity to walk through life with the compass and navigational system that they really need. That's mine. And I'm feeling really comfortable as I'm figuring out and learning new language, and being coachable and having people continue to teach me how to learn and do more. And so Lucas, what do you think about that?
Language is an awesome way to spend time. I think people consider language to be really elemental, and they shouldn't. Here are some numbers for you. The average American knows and uses 3,000 words in their vocabulary. 3,000 words. There are 90,000 words in the dictionary, and the average word in the dictionary has 5 different definitions. So there are over 400,000 functional words. So if you use 3,000 words in your language, that means that you're using less than 1% of the total number of words that are available to you. So for the person who considers language to be elementary, unfortunately for them, I agree that their language is elementary. But if we spend time thinking about language, the way that we can use a tool that is that powerful, it's powerful enough to create 400,000 functional words. Words that we can use, words that we probably should use.
Lucas, I so love that you get focused on one area and then you bring up such a beautiful point. So since we're talking about language and we now redirect that language on your why and you living your why, do you feel you wake up every day living your why?
Yeah, I do.
That is awesome. So I'm going to say something funny. Tell me why.
I didn't realize this was a comedy show, Mitchell.
Well, I think you're laughing because you know me. I'm not sure. And the average person would come in and go, "Oh, that was funny." Or they'd say, "Oh my God, that was silly." Okay.
The kind of like you on your Zooms, Mitchell. Me living my value, me living my why, me pursuing the purposes that that are coming into the world through me gives me energy. It picks me up. It moves me forward. It's like surfing. The waves are really awesome when you're standing on the beach watching them, and they're infinitely more awesome when they're underneath your feet, propelling you forward.
Dr. Laura, how about you?
Things that make you go, Yeah, I was cracking up when you made that comment. Well, it must be for them, elementary. But I don't exactly remember how you said it. I must have missed a couple of people. Am I living my? Well, no, I'm not. I'm not. I don't feel like I know that there's so many more who I want to reach, and the only thing I know how to do is what I've done. That's what I've learned. So I don't know yet how to change that. I just know I have to. So I look to folks who I respect and look up to show me what they've done, and not necessarily that it's going to work for me. It's a modification, and it broadens my spectrum because I have a limited way of looking at the world, and that's only based on what I've learned. And I know that there's so much. I don't know what it is, but I know it's a lot. I know I don't know a lot. So there's so many opportunities to learn. And when I can look at somebody else's style or what they do, or even just not evaluate, but just be a witness to, witness that there's so many gems there. And being cautious, of course. I'm not going to. Well, what about the naysayers? And they're going to say, "Well, there's always people out there doing." I'm not focused. Of course, they are. That's said, done. I got that. I'll move on. I'd rather focus on, hey, this is amazing, and look at what you're doing, and I wonder, that's fabulous. I wonder how I can possibly implement that, and could you teach me more? Because there's this curiosity about life. I don't know, but it's always been there. Always been so curious about life, people, and all that stuff. So I can't. No, I don't. I'm learning, and I'm trying every day to be more of moving. I'm moving in that direction. I just don't know the impact. I never know.
I so love how you show up just raw and authentic. I'm just going to say thank you for that. Because who's going to say to, their audience, "Oh, I'm not living my why." But no, and no buts. Okay. So, it's as you learn, one of the things that is living a very cool purpose is being curious and being focused and having that desire to learn and grow and learning from others. Yeah. Well, Laura, if we want to talk about you and I have been dying to have a conversation. If you want to talk about you, we can. But we don't have to do it publicly. We could still we've been threatening doing it privately, so we can take it private as well. So
we're still not going to talk about me. We have other people here in the audience. What is that? All the people on the stage and all the people watching. No, you know what? I show up enough in rooms and stuff. People see me, so I'd love to learn about what other people are doing and how they make sense of it. I know that I'm still learning. I don't know what my why is. I may never know until I'm gone. I will never know what this, a comment that I make to someone may change their life. It's kind of arrogant for me to think that, but it's possible, And I've been told, you say, okay, thank you so much, and then take that with you. Then take that. And then the impact goes to the next person, and then they touch how many other people. So when people say that they want to change 1 billion lives, I believe them. They don't have to do it right there in their face. What you say to me, Mitchell, changes me because then I change other people. People don't even know who you are by generations, probably. You've changed their lives. I've changed you to April, D, Marty, Anderson, Lucas. We've all changed people's lives because then we'll never know who they are.
Yeah.
True.
Go for it, Lucas.
It's true. That's 100% true. If you live your why effectively, if you you know what, you don't even have to live your why. If you are a good human, you can change lives sometimes just by offering a smile at the right time, or hugging somebody, or helping someone pick up their papers off the floor when they drop them. Sometimes just simple humanity at the right time in the right place can change people's lives. And you don't even know, you held a door, and that person just needed that to happen at that moment. And the connection that you made, the gesture that you gave, the simple humanity that you brought to that moment might have changed that person's life. And you don't even know. Dr. Laura, you're 100% right. And that's before we even start considering the impact of living a public life, which the three of us at least are in some way, and bringing love and care and our own personal version of value out into the world publicly. And again, we don't even know. I don't know the people that have bought my books off Amazon, and hopefully some of them have gotten a whole bunch of value. The only ones that I see are the ones that follow me and put a meeting on my calendar and say, you know what, your book was really powerful to me. Otherwise, I don't know. I have no idea who's read articles that have been published in major magazines or newspapers, and I'll never know unless they make the effort to come find me. And those things hopefully live some version of forever. Each product that we put out into the world to make it a better place. Dr. Laura, you're 100% right. We have no idea how much impact that can have, and how long the life of that impact can live.
If I may, Mitchell, share a story.
Please. I just popped one up myself. And by the way, if you're in the room and you want to join us on stage, let us know. But go ahead, Laura.
Hey, yeah. So when I was still a doctoral candidate, and I was teaching courses at Purdue as part of paying my tuition and fees, so I could work for them and such. And my assistantship was to teach, and I was teaching a course on marriage and family. The week was the topic for that particular week was rape and interpersonal intimate violence. And I brought a speaker in on Monday of the week, and her task was she's a community expert, and this was at Purdue. So it was ground live, face to face, and Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. So the speaker came in to speak about community resources, and they can read the stats. You can read about the academic part of it, but it's really the living it, getting the information about how you can integrate it in your life, and if you know someone and that sort of thing. So I wasn't going to dumb down and say, I'm going to teach you now, because I put my students, you got to learn this stuff. Read the book, then we'll talk. In certain circumstances. So the next time we met, which was Wednesday, class went through, I don't remember what we spoke about. And I leave the room, and on the desk, everyone's gone. On the desk, there's a single piece of paper, double-sided, typed from a woman in my class, a student. I'll never know which one she was. And I still have the letter. She communicated to me how important it was that the speaker had come on Monday, and because she had gone through something previous, trigger warning, not details, that previous semester with a best friend during the day, no alcohol involved, she didn't expect it and didn't tell anybody, and was afraid to, and how her life was changed because of it. And that's one thing she would have told if she were able to go back after it happened, that she would have told people. She would have gotten help. And she said, based on the speaker, she now knew, granted, this is 20 years ago, God, where did the time go, that she would tell that woman, that man was abused, or let them know prior to, if they hopefully never have to experience that, but to spread the word how important it is. And it wasn't me who spoke that day. It was someone who I asked to speak, who I respected. I don't remember the speaker. I don't remember who it was. I know it must have been somebody I trusted from the community for sure. That's 100% I'm sure, but I don't remember who it was. But I remember that letter. I'll never know who that woman was. And I know she said at the end of the letter, because you had that speaker, that you made a difference in my life. So even though I wasn't the one speaking, I organized something. I was tasked by the university to teach these courses. That student signed up for that course, and that particular day, that student came and then took the time to write that letter, and then chose to come the next day in class and inconspicuously leave that letter on my desk. Chose not to come out to me, which is fine completely. And then to know that one thing that just happened was just random, like just a speaker was there, not a speaker, changed her life, and now she could be possibly an advocate for the change that she wants to see in the world, because she was changed from an event that happened to her, and an event that happened to her in that class that day, that speaker, then can move forward. And that speaker will never know, because I didn't tell that speaker. If I can recall correctly, I never told the speaker. So we don't know the impact and the legacy that we have. We never know.
That is so cool. It's much better than leaving an apple on a teacher's desk. Wow. It is so cool when something unexpected happens to you, and sometimes, actually, maybe it's every time, it completely changes the trajectory for the rest of your life. Maybe, Lucas, something as simple as somebody else holding the door for you puts you in a slightly better attitude. And that next conversation you have, instead of saying something that may have brought the conversation in a negative way, brought it in a positive way. And that then cascaded into so much more. Oh, that's fascinating. Huh. What this reminds me of, I want to mention a guy. His name's Carson Tueller. In the 100 Coaches, there was a group created by two people, Zachary Ames, and I think it's my brain is not letting me get the other name. And it was people who were not part of the 100 Coaches organization, but like were amazing humans. Carson Tueller is one of them. Carson's in a wheelchair. He had an accident like 10 years ago, and he was on another networking group with me this morning, and he told a story that affected me. And it was really fascinating. The entire room sort of like dropped the mic, right? Like he didn't have to drop the mic. We all just said, wow, right? That's so amazing. And by the way, one of the things that I did, I was sitting with him, and we spent time together over the weekend, and I helped him articulate this thing called a CPOP. And so I'll share that with you first, so you get to see who he is, so you have context for what he said. His CPOP: restless people seeking something. Restless people seeking something. They may be really good at what they do. They may have done and been successful. They may have not really know how to fit in or where to fit in. And he's that coach you go to. And what was really interesting is I asked him, because normally when I share the CPOP, I want people to sit on it. He goes, Mitchell, I'm loving it. It's been a game changer. I've used it on people closest to me, and they say the same thing. That's it. I'm like, wow. Okay. So having the ability to express your why and what in 4 words, that's what that CPOP thing is. Laura, you and I promise you we'll do this together. Now, this morning in the networking meeting, what he said was the best thing that could have happened to him was the accident that put him in the wheelchair. He now feels pain all the time. He's restless, like he's constantly moving. I was watching him during the meeting. He's constantly moving because he's constantly in pain. And what it did is allowed him to wake up from, I think these are my words, marketing cookie cutter approach type of life he was living before, to finding his why and who he is now. And I don't know, to hear him say that, to experience someone like that, it's just so powerful. And if whatever contribution I had will allow him to touch that many more people, like what a cool thing that has become. And Lucas, that's where you started stemming my thought process. You know, is it's that little thing. Oh, so thank you. Aha moment. I'd like you to think right now, just write down on a piece of paper. I'm going to do one super amazing thing for somebody I don't know that you can do today. And, you know, if you kind of like it, feels good, maybe you can do more than one. Occasionally when I was driving and I go through a toll booth, I'd say, hey, can I pay for the person behind me? Right? Just because it was cute and fun. And I don't know. It's interesting thinking about how do we add value to other people?
Ooh, can I speak on that?
Yes, please.
I think that's such a fine line, because if I assume, because what came to me was totally just triggered my own defensive. So I know it's like I got to dive into that, and so like what I envisioned was my father throwing dimes and quarters and dimes, nickels, and pennies on the side of, and that was walking in a parking lot, just taking them out of his and just on the ground. And he's like, I said, what are you doing? He's like, someone's got to need it, for whatever his reason was. And I think I'm losing what you just said before that, Mitchell, because I was so in it with my father in that vision, that, you know, could you say that last sentence? It was something about helping others and the value.
Oh, I was just sort of, I don't know if I missed it. I was just thinking about, let's make sure that we do something good for somebody else today. And if we like it, let's do more, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much. And am I doing it? I question myself. Am I doing it because it really feels good? See, this is the stuff that I just get you.
Oh,
and
right.
I'm doing it because I think the other person needs it and they didn't ask for it.
And
so I'm saying, like, what right do I have to put anything on them? Like, it's one thing to say, I have what you need. Well, sure, everybody can use a little more money, I suppose. I mean, you know, hypothetically, it also needs a little more hope and love and faith and joy. But then it's a fine line. It's one thing to say, you should be doing this, and why aren't you? And say, or hand someone a check and saying, you know, I know you need this, take it.
Wow. Right.
Or as opposed to, you know what I love? When they set up those cameras that are hidden, and they have the actors come in. And let's say there's someone at a grocery store, a cashier, and there's a person who's paying for their food or their items, and let's say they're not able to hold it together. They drop their money, they don't have enough money, whatnot, and the cashier is purposefully rude to them. Like they're hired to do that because they have it on camera and they want to see if any of the bystanders will do anything or say anything. And then ask them to debrief, like, what was that about? What did that mean for you? And you just can't talk to people that way, and there's so many different scenarios. But I think true colors, when does it really show up? And then coming back with, well, we just wanted to, like someone's, okay, I'll finish with this. Let's say that they staged some money that's going to be found in a gas station, like $200 bills, and there's kids in there. And the kids either come up to the counter and say someone lost this, or they take it. When the kids come up to the counter and return the money, they give the $200. And what validation is that? You know, I mean, like doing the right thing. What's your purpose for doing it? They didn't know the camera was there. Are you doing it so you can get the money? Great, if you take the money, okay, that's one thing. I don't know if they dare that. But then to reinforce that positivity. I don't know, I think I just rambled there for a little bit, but there's so much for me, at least I see it. That's where my brain goes.
Hey, Lucas, I'm kind of curious about that statement. Like, because Laura brought up a good point, and that is, what is, just because you think it's helpful for somebody else, they may not think so.
True. But how many times did somebody catch you on the highway and roll down their window and yell at you for paying their toll?
Couple, actually. But I didn't do it.
They yell at you?
I didn't do it. I didn't do it for that.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't necessarily the yell. It sometimes as far as I remember, I got one thank you and 3 thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me smile.
Have you ever held the door for somebody and had them snap at you? I have.
Oh, no, I haven't actually. Although I've had people walk in the door right in front of me and then almost slam it in my face. But tell me about that. When you hold the door for somebody and they yell at you. That seems a little odd.
It's off, right?
Yes.
What about when you're walking down the street and you make eye contact with somebody and you give them a smile? Have you ever had that happen? Where it makes them upset, visibly upset. They frown. They give you a hand gesture of some sort.
Oh, many times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does it stop you from holding the door for them? Does it stop you from smiling?
I don't think so. No, does not. Although if it happened enough times, it could.
Could it? Really?
For me, no. But I could see myself potentially being hesitant, but I'd still do it because if it's the right thing to do. Actually, I would never not open up a door for somebody. Yeah, sorry. No, it won't stop me.
What if you were in another country and the customs in that country, and it was explained to you, so you knew, the customs in that country were focused on, let's say, being able to do your own menial tasks. And so if you actually held the door for somebody, that was an insult.
Ooh.
Then what?
Then you have to live by the custom. Like in Singapore, you can't chew gum, or if you chew gum, don't throw it on the sidewalk.
What about if you're a woman and you don't want any doors held open for you because she's been in abusive relationships and she just wants to indicate that, I can do things for myself, and she just left a relationship that morning. She just got an order of protection. She's still upset about everything, and she's taking offense because I can do this myself. I'm on my own now. I can do this. What if someone says, what if someone comes up to your child and says, aren't you going to give me a hug? The child doesn't know that person, the adult. And you teach your kids, forget, it's like stranger danger. We teach our kids to be nice to strangers at the same time. We teach them stranger danger. And then also, why would we want to have, if we're standing there and we don't know the person, and the person comes up to us and says, can I hug your child? What? attempts to speak with your child, because that's just how kids are supposed to be. You're supposed to talk, but then we tell them don't talk to strangers. I don't think that's akin to what you're saying, Lucas, but I hear you. Yeah. I really think it comes down to knowing where the person is coming from. Then how do we organize our day, every interaction, without having our brain use these file folders to and it sounds terrible, but the only way our brain can function is if we have 8 billion interactions. How do we compartmentalize them so that we can organize them like a computer system? We have to have these file folders. There's a reason why we have stereotypes. There's a kernel of truth. There's a kernel of truth which gets exaggerated and overgeneralized. It's like dumb jocks. Athletes are actually quite educated. Well, overall, athletes actually have higher GPA than college students who are non-athletes. Why? Because they have to have their particular scholarship. They have to maintain a GPA to maintain their scholarship. So just because there might be one, there's over-exaggerated. They're not stupid. They may not be as educated or as well-versed in what's taught in school. That doesn't mean you're smart. And then it's generalized to everybody. Or dumb blondes. Are you kidding me? Or fiery redheads. Don't even make an assumption that fiery redheads are all fiery. Just
For those watching on video, Laura happens to be one of them. Hey, Byron, welcome to the table.
Hey, Mitchell. How are you?
Awesome, thank you. You want to introduce yourself and add 2 cents to the conversation?
I was just tracking it. For me, I'm just a gentleman that tries to live in the moment, really. So I was just trying to live in the moment and align with what you guys are talking about. I heard the holding the door thing, and yeah, it's an interesting concept of how trivial that is in a construct, but like in reality, the dynamics of that whole interaction could go so far. So I appreciate it, Mitchell.
Of course.
I neglected to mention, did someone yell at you for doing that? No. Although when I have held, for example, when I've held the door open for someone and they don't say anything, you're welcome. No, thank you. No acknowledgement. They just walk right through. You're welcome. I will do that. And many, many times I've done that. And I have no qualms about doing it. And again, I'll do it too in the future for sure. That's just, you know what? That's so bitter. That's so sarcastic. That's caustic. I need to stop that. I don't need to. I'm verbalizing that to change that. I'm aware now. Dag damn
it. It was so funny. I was just about to say something, and then I saw the recognition in your mind that, did I actually say that out loud publicly? Wait a second. This is by the way, this is Laura's brain talking, right? Did I actually say what I just said publicly in a room of Credibility Nation? Does that seem not credible to you? Oh my God, Laura, why are you doing this? Okay, Laura, we got to fix this. And by the way, I was with you. I was in your camp. Like if I did something like that, held the door open for somebody, and I expected the thank you, I'd shout out the you welcome, and then I realized that the one thing we don't know is we don't know the little bubble that everyone else who's in is living in. And as you mentioned, we don't know if something really bad has just happened to them and they're just either not paying attention, or they look at you as their ex, or something is. And I think I heard something else this morning I want to share. And you guys probably have heard it, but I don't know if I've ever heard it before. So we know the golden rule, do unto others. Now, I've heard the golden rule a couple of ways. Do unto others as you want done unto yourself. Or I think it's do unto others as what is it? As
you'd have done to you.
As you'd have done to you.
It's like the platinum rule. Do unto others as they would have done unto themselves.
I heard a different platinum rule, which was do unto others with no expectation of return. And I'm thinking, that's really cool. That's a nice rule, because if I'm just going to now set back, if you have a compass and guidance system, if you have your why and your what, and you know what that is, when you live within the framework of that, you know when you're tipping the scale, you know when you're adding value. The universe is going to give you that feedback. It's going to do the good things for you. You don't necessarily need that one person to turn around and say thank you, or but it's going to happen. The laws of reciprocity is going to be in your way. Was that like a bomb? And like, oh my God, Mitchell, I don't know what to do next with that.
Mitchell, for me, you nailed it, brother. Like, when I open doors for people like that, I never had that thought, like Dr. Laura was saying, of like, like trying to remind them of what they should do, that expectation, right? For me, I've always been taught, like, I do that because it makes me unique. Not everybody does it. And I do it for myself because I want to stand in that uniqueness of what people aren't doing traditionally. You know what I mean? So it's like, I've been taught, from such a young age, a gentleman, I'm always saying yes, ma'am, and no, sir. And I apologize when people get offended by that, just out of growth mindset. My humbleness says, my apology. Right. So for me, that's the biggest thing, is I open the door for me, knowing that, let me get that door, like, it's been ingrained into the uniqueness and the opposite of what most people expect. So the expectation goes out. It's just, I expect it. It makes me happy to hold the door open, So, but yeah, I like that loss of doing things with expectations, because I realize that it's not 100% true. It's just, it's internalized expectations to be consistent, I think, is my key, because it helps my self-image. Really, it does. So, but thank you, sir, for bringing it up. I really enjoy that. I want to express more into that realm of expectationless living, or however you say it.
Oh yeah, there must be I can't even say it once, let alone 5 times fast. Yeah, thank you for that. Go ahead, Lucas. Laura had something too.
Laura asked a question when she was opening this topic up, and the question she asked was, and I've been wondering if somebody was going to answer it, and I can, but Byron just did. The question she asked was, are you doing it to feel good? Are you doing the right thing to feel good? Are you opening that door to feel good? Are you donating? Are you doing what you think of as a good action? Are you doing it to feel good?
I just posted in the chat on StreamYard to Mitchell. Are we doing something with the expectation that we'll do it because others won't? Making up, and these are thoughts. I'm coming up with these thoughts because I'm reflecting on my own stuff. Am I doing something for self-gratification to boost up my self-worth? Because, I mean, there's a possibility. I know it's been true for me in the past, and certainly wouldn't be out of the scope of rationality to think that it might be true now, is that feeling low in my self-worth. So, and it's granted, it does feel good. Am I doing it? Am I relying on that to build up my self-worth? Now, for me, it does feel good to get out of me for various reasons. I hear that, Lucas. That really resonated, and I appreciate that. That's a tough question. That's tough to answer willingly.
Let's turn that back on Lucas. What do you do, Lucas?
I absolutely do it to feel good, but it's not in terms of self-gratification. It feels good to me when the world is happy. Feels good to me when the people that I'm interacting with are open and forthright with their feelings, and they do that because they know that they can trust me to receive that. It feels good to me it feels good to me to see people who are successful care about the people around them, and in order for that to happen, I have to lead that path. And it's not to say that everyone around me is going to see me, but some of them will. As we talked about earlier in this conversation, the little acts that we have impacts that we don't necessarily see. And the impacts that I want to have are impacts that make the world a better place for me to live in. Is that selfish? Absolutely. It is self-serving. It is me trying to make the world a better place for me to live in. And also, in service to myself, the world will become a better place.
You're saying that, by the way, you're saying that with the concept, with the approach of having a bigger framework. You have the intent and commitment to do the right thing. You have the desire to have humanity be better off tomorrow than it is today. So I'm going to say, Lucas, yes, but there's a framework that you live in that is generally, not that you weren't always this way, and not that you don't want to do things which may be self-serving just for oneself, but I think you think about the world in the bigger picture as well. And those little actions help the bigger picture.
Pushback slightly on that. Okay. Knowing that logically, it's not possible for me to make someone feel something. It can very well, I can set it up that they'd be more likely to feel something because of my behavior, my interactions. And to assume that, I know, by the way, Lucas, I agree with you. I just want to, there's so much that lanes with me. I want to preface it because I want to be liked. I don't want you to dislike me. That's why I'm saying that. Like, I know myself well enough, but I preface it, right? Sick, real, true, transparent. So take that, boom. And and to challenge myself in saying this, I'm not just challenging anybody who just said that. I'm challenging me because I go through this whole storytelling in my mind. So for me, I know I can't control, I can contribute to. And if I think I can control someone and they take ownership of, you made me feel that way. Okay. That's not allowing them to take any responsibility and accountability for what's happened, because there's certain things like, for example, boundaries. This is what's okay and this is what's not okay. Okay. Accountability is huge. Okay. Consequences. Okay. You know the outcome, you know what will happen. If we're in an ideal situation, this happens, you know what's going to happen. These are my boundaries, and this will happen. If you do this, this will. If you don't do this, this is what happens. And then I can't make someone feel anything when they already know that they broke that boundary. And in addition, I have to maintain that accountability and keep consistent. So there's my credibility. And it's like reliability. So credibility is the reliability. You keep showing up. You got credibility. Okay, keep showing up. It's consistency. Integrity is the validity. You do what you say. You do what you say you're going to do when you do it. That's really. So think of a body weight scale. You stand on a scale. It reads 120 every time. That's a good scale. That's a good scale for that day. You know, every single time it's 120, right? That's a reliable scale. Validity. I step on that scale, which is supposed to read in pounds, and it reads a number of elephant feathers. Doesn't make sense. It's not valid. Or let's say it weighs in stone. Or let's say it weighs in carats. So it's not valid. It doesn't measure what it does. So credibility is in the integrity that, credibility is, yeah, I'm accountable. I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. And then integrity is, what's my core? What's my reason why? Does it match up? The validity. Are you valid? Do you say yourself, are you true to what you say you're true? So that just went on a little longer than I wanted it to, but I had a moment there where I felt like I was resonating for some reason with Mitchell. Like I was digging into his message with his business, and I don't even really know what it is, just the whole terminology of credibility nation, that we can do this together with integrity too. We got to show up consistently and continue to have these conversations that are so deep. And I don't know half the time, and that's okay as long as we keep showing up and saying, I don't know, we'll figure it out maybe one day. Maybe we won't, but we'll be together.
Yeah, no, I love it. There's so many amazingly cool C words that fit into Credibility Nation, right? And consistency is kind of a fun one. It's being consistent, because yes, consistent and and Cobb, right? Thank you, Dr. Laura. And curious is another one that's very cool to
Isn't
me.
Cobb a 4-letter word?
It can be. It can be.
I'm not sure we use it that way, do we? Has anyone used Cobb as a 4-letter word?
Yes, sometimes they have in the past, but that's them. That's not my problem today.
Hey, I'm feeling my energy level being drained. I'm on the tail end of having a positive strip, a positive test on that.
There's a C word.
That's another C word. I won't even say it out loud.
Crap.
Yeah. And so that was on Tuesday as I took the test. So I'm feeling better all the time, but I think I need to unwind. So how about we just now, if anyone wants to continue, you certainly can, but I was going to just sort of summarize and wrap up and I just want to say, let me start. I normally do the wrap up at the end. I'm just going to start since my energy is waning. Listen, if you like this, feel free to come back, come on a regular basis if you're interested. If you think we should change the time and date, let me know. I just kind of like Saturdays. It's kind of fun. Stands out of the way. I love the streaming. And for those who have been particularly, I think it was Christina Allen. Thanks so much for so many cool comments on LinkedIn. The world that we're living in is going in a direction I'm not very excited about. And many of us will publicly say that, or certainly privately say it. And not talking about politics or anything else. We're just talking about humanity, the ability for us to really be more humane to each other. And that's part of what this is about. What's interesting to me is focusing on a particular area. And this will get me thinking a little bit more about a good, dear credibility expert question. Lucas, if you don't mind, when you wrap up, I wouldn't mind if you just mentioned the Ultimate Credibility Bootcamp. But I think I just want to say thanks for joining me. I appreciate and cherish you for being part of this, and thank you. Byron, did you want to give a quick summary?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know my mic was off mute there, Mitchell. For me, buddies, like the reality is I feel and understand energy, outside that conscious level. And for me, that's where the credibility comes to play, daily is acknowledging and understanding that element in me. Because the kindness comes out, the curiosity, it's like contagious. When I become aware of those things, I just see everybody else, kind of transform in front of my eyes with perspective, but also in their own right. I can see them kind of seeing the difference between what they're feeling and what they're seeing me feel, in the same environment. So that's kind of where I'm at with the consistency side is just getting out of my own way. That rule, but being present truthfully in the consistency side is just maintaining that and watching things just expose themselves to me like, wow, look at this person, that person, holding doors and just having a great time as I'm going through the motions, no matter what I'm doing. So, and like coming in here, you guys, you have a very, unique way, and I say it unique because I see that good side of the world in that respect, to really apply things, dig deep, but not so deep, really stay on point. But it's the consistency, you guys, the tone, the energy levels, the banter that seems normal, but not like, let me sell you something, So I appreciate it, guys. This is why I keep coming back here. There's a lot of consistency here. So.
Byron, thank you. Oh.
Yeah, I think I gotta pour on you, Mitchell. I think of you during the week. I think of you, Mitchell, during the week. I do. I'm like, there's so many times, especially in the last month, I'm like, oh my God, like my integrity is being questioned and my credibility. And are you kidding me? I don't see where it comes from. And I think sometimes I do say, what would Mitchell do? I'm not kidding. Like, it's, and I don't mean like you're like the savior or anything like that. It's just I hold you in high regard. And Byron, you're in that camp, and Lucas, I'm coming to know you more so. And of course, Susan is, because she's a pretty cute coach too. And Marty, it's so great to see you. And avenues are beautiful. Thank you for being here. Just Laura.
Byron, thanks for Laura. You're still going to get a chance to sort of wrap up, but thank you for that. I just want to say thank you. I acknowledge it. What would Mitchell do? What would Mitchell do? Yeah, I'll have to think about that one. And you're the second person today, Byron, who mentioned the importance of, and let me add to the word integrity, Laura. What happens is sometimes people say the words, but they're not feeling the energy. And subconsciously, you know this. We all know this. And so it's really interesting to me. And that's why I'm just going to come back to the initial, one of the things we started at the beginning of the conversation, that why. If you know your why and you're living within the framework of your why, you're living within the energy of your why. And if you're doing that, you have the integrity when you answer questions that people feel that energy. It's really a cool thing. Yeah. Hey, Lucas, what do you think? And could you do a quick plug-in for the Ultimate Credibility Bootcamp? Would you mind?
I don't mind. Today's conversation was awesome. I love talking about language, and we spent a few minutes talking about that. I love talking about how actions in the world affect that world, especially on the positive side, and we kept it positive. We challenged some of our constructs. What if you're in a country whose culture means that when you hold the door for somebody, that's an insult? It was a really cool challenge to the construct. Makes you think. Believe it or not, Mitchell and I have conversations like this all the time. We probably have a conversation like this for 3 to 4 hours every week. The result of our conversations is that we spend a lot of time thinking about this stuff and building frameworks, as Dr. Laura would say, building folders.
That's just mean to say that. Just like you can't make me jealous. I'm feeling envious. Like, I don't know what's the right word to use now. I'm thinking back on Brené's Arrows to the Heart. I want to do that too. Where are the peeps?
I love it. Well, in a very real way, our Ultimate Credibility Bootcamp is a combination of these open conversations and Mitchell and I presenting the results of our hundreds of hours of deep discussion on this, and some of our experience from outside of our conversations too. So, if you guys are interested, if you like the way that we play together here on the Clubhouse and in the other places that we show up, check it out, theultimatecredibilitybootcamp.com.
Lucas, your ability to cue something up and set it up is so powerful. So thank you. Thank you for that. And Laura, did you anything you want to summarize before we say good day?
Thank you for the room, as always. Thank you for the people who are here. Thank you for those who are listening in the replay, and thank you for those who are not here and the impact you've made in my life. And those I'll never know, ever, 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 and you changed the world. So everybody, thank you, everybody. Start out.
I appreciate it. And for those who start, particularly Marty, who was here beginning, and thank you. Appreciate you. And I'm going to, let's see, we'll stop the broadcast. For everyone who's watching live, Laura, thanks for showing your most amazingly cool, expressive self. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you. And then, of course,